Praise the Lord, Alkali's in the kitchen. Praise the Lord, Alkali's in the kitchen. Praise the Lord, Alkali is in the kitchen, and there's no kale here.
Hello and welcome to another Cooking with Alkali. Here's your host, Alkali Bismuth.
Hi and welcome to Cooking with Alkali. Today we're going to give you a little bit of a Valentine's Day recipe. I tried to think of what is the most decadent thing I know of.
Lobster stuffed with tacos.
And it's in the damn name. That would be the 80s chocolate cake, the decadent mousse, or the decadent chocolate, or the death by chocolate, or let's just look at the chocolate. Just look at the chocolate. The chocolate.
How wonderfully decadent, and just as I was beginning to lose interest.
When you think love, you think diabetes. So, the chocolate decadence cake is an older cake. It is one of the richest things that I make. It is truly decadent.
Oh my, yes.
10 ounces. 10 ounces of unsalted butter going over our double boiler. Now, since I don't own a double boiler, I own a glass bowl and a saucepan. Double boiler achieved.
Nice.
To that, we are going to add, 18 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate. Now, to make this easy on myself, I just got the Ghirardelli chocolate chips. They have fairly good chocolate. I'm not overly concerned. However, if that was not available in the area, grab a decent chocolate bar. Make sure that the cacao percentage is about 62%. You're looking for that semi-sweet, and that's what we're going to use to make the base of this cake. Now, if you've ever heard of this cake before, you've heard it called a flourless cake. That is not quite true, especially in my version. We're actually going to be using a little bit of flour at the very end. And I can't stress this part enough. This is not a difficult recipe. This one is more of one of those follow the instructions.
Yeah, that's one fine looking barbecue pit. Why doesn't mine look like that?
And we're gonna let that melt down on the double boiler, that nice gentle heat. Do not get water into this bowl. If you do, your chocolate's going to seize up, and there's only one solution for that: starting over and eating the chocolate. I know it sounds good now, but that's 18 ounces of chocolate. I can only eat that twice over, so I really don't recommend it. We have our chocolate going at this point. It's slowly starting to melt, and since we're going to need that cool for the next step, and this step takes a little while, we're actually going to go on and start making our batter. So, if you have an electric stand mixer, I highly recommend using it. If you have a hand mixer, I highly recommend using it. If you're doing this one by hand, you're going to be using a whisk, and you're going to be going for a while. Electricity helps with this one. Just like, everything else.
Or you can get cardio in and get strong arms. What?
How dare you?
Exercise is good for you. I swear to God.
I exercise a lot. These forks get heavy with all this chocolate on it. You gotta move, that's like 30 degrees of fitness right there.
I'm trying to slim down so I can fit into Mama's coffin. That's my reward.
To your mixer, you're going to add 5 eggs. Now, this one I cannot stress enough. Because of what it does, you want these to be room temperature. Before we started filming, I made a bowl of a little bit warmer than room temperature tap water, and I put the egg shell and all in there just to warm them up, and then I cracked them into this. Also, I cracked them into a separate bowl because I am constantly getting shells into my shit, so I stopped that.
Don't do that.
So that's 5 large eggs, and to that we're going to add a little bit more than a tablespoon. I used a tablespoon and about a teaspoon of sugar. Put that all together, turn on your stand mixer, and hope. We are going to beat this until it is light and fluffy, just those 2 ingredients. And at this point, we are almost done with all the prep work for the cake. So we're gonna come back and show you what this looks like and how to combine it.
Get on with it!
So now what we have here is all of our chocolate melted, still sitting on the stovetop. We're actually taking that off now because that's about as done as we need it. And this is what you're looking for here. It is a nice, smooth combination of that butter and that chocolate. That's all it needs to be. Okay, we're gonna let that cool for just a moment while we finish this up. Now this has been blended for a full 10 minutes on a stand mixer. The first 4 minutes in medium speed, then kicked up to full speed for the last 6 minutes.
Maximum power!
And if you remember, all that went in here, 5 eggs and a tablespoon plus a teaspoon of sugar. Xander, bring it in.
Bring it in.
That is how much that grew.
Ooh.
And this is gonna be how we make our cake. Now to this, we add the rest of our ingredients, which is about the same amount as sugar, a tablespoon plus a little bit more, about a teaspoon more of flour, a small pinch of salt. Now this one, some people have told me that a pinch is like 1/8 of a teaspoon. No, this is an actual pinch. However much I can put between my fingers, that's how much goes in. And the same amount of espresso powder. Now, the salt and the espresso powder are to enhance the chocolate flavor. It's really not an ingredient you want to skip. They, believe it or not, do bring out some of the sweetness in the cake. That bitter espresso powder, the bitter salt, all of that actually helps bring out all the flavors that are already here. So all we're gonna do is give that one more quick mix. Then it's time to start combining. Now, this, we need to know how warm our chocolate is, because we definitely don't want to cook our eggs. I have a laser beam to save that for me. That's a little too hot. So we're gonna come back when this is closer to a workable temperature. I'll let you know what that temperature is. We have our butter ready, we have our chocolate ready. I've already greased and floured the wrong kind of pan.
No.
Apparently, my circular my circular cake tin is in the shop. I have a bunch of springform cake pans, which all have a weird kind of groove at the bottom that all of this will get stuck in. So I picked the roundest thing with the smoothest bottom that I could.
Oh, say no more.
And that's what we're gonna use to make this cake in. I've got my oven preheated to 425. I'm gonna let this cool down, and then I'm gonna show you how to combine these two. We're gonna finish off the cake, and I will show you what the chocolate explosion or chocolate decadence or dear God I'm fat looks like. All right, we're back, and I've got the chocolate mixture down to about 120, 123 degrees right now. And that's not gonna cook the eggs, at least not quickly enough that it's going to bother us. Now our egg mixture, again, mostly just foam. I mean, you can see how thick this is. In order to get this to mix right, we're gonna mix it in batches. We're gonna put about 1/3 of this into here and mix it up a little bit more vigorously than we would like, but that's mainly just to get everything to combine. Then we put it back in here, we're gonna go a little bit easier. Now this isn't like a souffle, this isn't like something that you're gonna need every one of these air bubbles.
Hey, a bubble! Pop!
You could be a little bit more rough with this, but obviously you don't want to put it right back into your blender. You don't want to use a whisk from this point forward. From this point forward, we're going to be mixing, not really folding, but a combination of the two. So we'll put in about 1/3 of the batter, and then we're going to start getting this all incorporated. Now this is going to lighten up this chocolate, and basically the final product will be a cake that is just pure, soft, silky, almost like a ganache mousse. And make sure to get the sides. And once again, you can see that I'm not being overly gentle with it, but I am keeping it moving. I do not want those eggs to cook. And once I get this totally combined, once everything is all together in a beautiful, harmonious mess, which is about to happen, he said, hoping he could finish his sentence and then flourish into the finale.
Oh.
There we go.
Just like an anime.
Just like it.
Yes.
All right. Now that that looks like chocolate again, here we go. Throw everything back into your big mixing bowl. And mix. I have made chocolate. I know it's done because I want to drink it. Carefully. Dish it out.
Very nice.
And that is a chocolate decadence cake. Now obviously with this much chocolate, you're going to need something to balance that out. And what balances out chocolate better than raspberries? So as we put this into the oven, I am going to show you how to make the finishing touch to this amazingly decadent cake. And that is with just a little bit of raspberry syrup. So this is going into a 425-degree oven for 14 minutes. My oven is a standard oven, no fan. That is my temperature. I don't know what you need to use on a different type of oven, and I'm saying this because you cannot test this cake. The middle of this cake will not be set when you pull it out. In fact, you cannot eat this cake warm. It'll just spill all over the place. It has to be chilled. So there's no way to test it. In a 425-degree oven, no fan, it goes for 14 minutes. I wish I had something better for anyone. If you have a fan in your oven, turn it off. And don't use an easy bake oven on this one. They do not work for anything but mini cupcakes.
Oh no.
Does this happen to you?
What the?
The final thing we're going to need to prep is the raspberry sauce for our chocolate decadence. This one's actually very simple. I use this for a bunch of different things. If you make this recipe without water, it makes an unbelievable topping for ice cream. If you add a lot of water, this becomes a very nice sauce to put on a plate. But we're gonna actually go in the middle for this one because we need something to offset the ultra sweet from the chocolate, which is apparently gonna be ultra sweet from raspberries. I don't know why it works, but it does. Start off with a little over a pound of fresh raspberries, rinsed, and right into your saucepan. This is how easy this one is. By the way, this is a recipe that you should just keep in your back pocket. It's so simple to do. This is going to work with most very juicy fruits. Raspberries, I've done this with strawberries, blueberries, anything that when you crush you get a lot of juice out of them.
Well, wow, man, where's your family now, Jay? They're all dead. I outlived them all. That's the beauty of the juice weasel.
To a little over a pound of raspberries, we're going to add fresh squeezed about 2 to 3 teaspoons of lemon juice, a 1/4 cup of sugar, and the secret ingredient.
The secret ingredient is love. Who's been screwing with this thing?
A splash of pure Canada. A splash of pure maple syrup. Not a lot, just a little bit. That's it. We're going to cook this down. We're going to let it cook. I'll show you a few shots as we go. But this is your raspberry sauce, and I'll show you how to finish it right when we come back. So everything you just saw was done under medium-low heat. We're not trying to boil this thing. In fact, if you noticed, every time we were starting to get bubbles, I would stir it just to keep it on there longer. And the timing on this was, after I had gotten that to happen a few times with the bubbles around the outside, when I would stir it and they'd go away and come back, the middle would bubble slightly. We are not trying to boil this. We are not trying to reduce this. This is simply a sauce. Now you could keep going and you could make something thicker, you could really reduce it down, but there's no reason to do that in this one. This is a sauce.
Use the sauce, Richard. Use the sauce.
I got it!
So you're gonna take that sauce. These are raspberries. Raspberries filled with seeds. They've got the actual pulp. We're gonna strain this all out. So throw your raspberry through a strainer. Fill it way too high. Remember, far too late that this stuff is basically lava. And now try your best not to burn yourself. And you're just gonna take your spoon and keep it moving around until you have nothing left but a little bit of pulp. And never forget, always, 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 get the bottom of that strainer.
All right.
I'm gonna keep pushing this through the sieve, but this is pretty close to what you want left over in there. We'll come back when this is totally done. Our raspberry sauce is done, and I just wanted to show you the consistency that I went with. Now that is a fine raspberry sauce. And as you can see, back of the spoon, you're not gonna quite get that coat that you would with a thicker sauce. You could make it a little bit thicker, don't add in any water, a little bit less lemon, reduce it, but I gotta tell you, for the purpose of this recipe, you're going to want the deep red, light, watery sauce. And you'll see why once we start plating everything. Oh man, I might drink this. I'm going to drink. There's no might. I'm going to drink this.